Wherever you are in the world, whatever the time of day, this is Worldview with Vince Milum, a program that examines the challenges facing humanity and their origins.
This is a special edition of Worldview with Vince Milum. I'm your host, Vince Milum. In our first broadcast, we called attention to the illegality and potential calamity posed by the U.S. participation in the Syrian civil war. In a little over 6 hours after that broadcast, U.S. President Donald Trump assented to a request as he publicly stated that he was pulling all U.S. forces out of Syria. Soon thereafter, he pledged to pull all U.S. forces out of Afghanistan. While we welcomed the tremendous impact our prayerful plea had, soon miscreants throughout the media and Washington corridor were denouncing Trump and demanding more war, not less. This special episode of Worldview is dedicated to uniting the forces for peace in the United States and throughout the world. We begin by reading one of the latest articles by Pat Buchanan, who has given us permission to do so.
Will Trump hold firm on Syrian pullout? By Pat Buchanan. We have defeated ISIS in Syria, my only reason for being there, wrote President Donald Trump as he ordered the withdrawal of all U.S. forces from Syria, stunning the U.S. foreign policy establishment. Trump overruled his secretaries of state and defense, and jolted this city and capitals across NATO, Europe, and the Middle East. Yet Trump is doing exactly what he promised to do in his campaign, and what his decision seems to say is this: we are extricating America from the forever war of the Middle East so foolishly begun by previous presidents. We are coming home. The rulers and peoples of this region are going to have to find their own way and fight their own wars. We are not so powerful that we can fight their wars while we also confront Iran and North Korea and face new Cold Wars with Russia and China. As for the terrorists of ISIS, says Trump, they are defeated. Yet despite the heavy casualties and lost battles ISIS has suffered, the collapse of the caliphate, expulsion from its Syrian capital Raqqa and Iraqi capital Mosul, and from almost all territories it controlled in both countries, ISIS is not dead. It lives on in thousands of true believers hidden in those countries, and, like Al-Qaeda, it has followers across the Middle East and inspires haters of the West living in the West. The U.S. pullout from Syria is being called a victory for Vladimir Putin. Russia, Iran, Assad are ecstatic, wails Senator Lindsey Graham. Graham is echoed by Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse, who called the withdrawal a retreat and charged that Trump's generals believe the high-fiving winners today are Iran, ISIS, and Hezbollah. But ISIS is a Sunni terrorist organization, and, as such, it detests the Alawite regime of Bashar Assad and Hezbollah and Iran, both of which are hated by ISIS as Shiite heretics. Russia, Iran, Syria are not happy about the U.S. leaving, Trump tweeted, despite what the fake news says, because now they will have to fight ISIS and others who they hate without us. If Putin, victorious in the Syrian civil war, wishes to fight Al-Qaeda and ISIS, the last major enemies of Assad in Syria, why not let him? The real losers? Certainly the Kurds, who lose their American ally. Any dream they had of greater autonomy inside Syria or an independent state is not going to be realized. But then, that was never really in the cards. Forced to choose between Turkey, with 80 million people and the second largest army in NATO, which sits astride the Dardanelles and Bosphorus entrance to the Black Sea, and the stateless Kurds with their Syrian Democratic Forces, or YPG, Trump chose Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and Erdogan regards the YPG as kinfolk and comrades of the Kurdish terrorist PKK in Turkey. A week ago, he threatened to attack the Kurds in northern Syria, though US troops are embedded alongside them. What kind of deal did Trump strike with Erdogan? Turkey will purchase the US Patriot anti-aircraft and missile defense system for $3.5 billion and probably forego the Russian S-400. Trump also told Erdogan we would take a look at extraditing Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen, whom Erdogan says instigated the 2016 coup attempt that was to end with his assassination. National Security Advisor John Bolton, who said U.S. troops would remain in Syria until all Iranian forces and Iranian-backed militias have been expelled, appears not to have been speaking for his president. And if the Israelis were relying on U.S. forces in Syria to intercept any Iranian weapons shipments headed to Hezbollah and Lebanon through Damascus, then the Israelis are going to have to make other arrangements. The War Party project to bring about regime change in Tehran through either severe sanctions leading to insurrection or a U.S.-Iranian clash in the Gulf will suffer a severe setback with U.S. pullout from Syria. However, given the strength of the opposition to a U.S. withdrawal, Israel, Saudi Arabia, the GOP foreign policy establishment in Congress, and the think tanks, liberal interventionists in the Beltway press, Trump's own national security team of advisors, the battle to overturn Trump's decision has probably only just begun. From FDR's abandonment of 100 million East Europeans to Stalin at Yalta in 1945, to the abandonment of our nationalist Chinese allies to Mao in 1949, and of our South Vietnamese allies in 1975, America has often been forced into retreats leading to the deaths of allies. Sass says Trump is risking the same outcome. A lot of American allies will be slaughtered if this retreat is implemented. But is that true? Trump's decision to pull out of Syria at least has assured us of a national debate on what it will mean to America to extricate our country from these Mideast wars, the kind of debate we have not had in the 15 years since we were first deceived into invading Iraq. And thus concludes the article, Will Trump Hold Firm on Syrian Pullout? By Pat Buchanan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask all of you to put partisanship aside and support President Donald Trump in his quest to end America's wars in the Middle East. It is this simple. Which is more important to you, partisanship or world peace? If partisanship, we pity you and your soul. If world peace, please join with us as we expand the pool of those willing to set aside politics to work for the common good. Thank you.
Here are 3 tweets by 3 Democratic U.S. representatives who are supporting Republican President Donald Trump's peace initiatives. Here are some more tweets by people who did not vote for President Trump but are supporting his peace efforts. This has been a special edition of Worldview with Vince Milum. Thank you for watching. To stay up to date on Worldview with Vince Milum, be sure to check out Vince's Twitter feed at Reasoned Mind.